Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode one of a journey with the newly founded expansion franchise, the Baltimore Crabs in Basketball GM. This series is going to be a good one. I want to do a little bit of storytelling with it, so I'm going to preface this right now. The cheats slash God mode system in this game is on because I want to tell a real story with this series. So I want to try to make the trades realistic. I want to try to put people on realistic contracts, all that good stuff. Try to make the best quality story and just kind of craft storylines and narratives. I won't go too overboard with it, and I'll try to leave it all done naturally. I assure you, I don't want to just like turn the series into my thing because I also want to try to manage this team and have some fun with it. I find that these storytelling series are really fun to watch, so I want to try my own hand at making one. So, with that out of the way, let's learn about this team, what they are, and what they have come to be. The beginning of the story in Baltimore actually starts back in 2023. Adam Silver has just approved the NBA expansion in the cities of Seattle and Las Vegas, set to join the league at the start of the 2027 season. This plan goes off the rails, however, when in 2025, a $22 billion fee is paid by a group of billionaires, headlined by David Tepper, owner of the Carolina Panthers. This $22 billion fee is more than the Seattle and Las Vegas fee combined, and was such a huge sum of money on the table. Despite the NBA expansion agreement already agreed upon, the NBA knew they couldn't turn this down. They worked to fit Pittsburgh into the 2027 expansion planning, which left an issue. There's still an odd number of NBA teams, which wasn't a huge issue, but Silver was still looking around the league. He wanted teams to join Pittsburgh in the East. St. Louis, Baltimore wasn't really considered much. First, Pittsburgh just got a team recently, and the Wizards held fierce opposition to sharing their market. But that's the problem. There was no buyer lined up. In St. Louis, all the teams, they couldn't find a suitable buyer for the market. So it just looked like all the deals were going to fall through until finally, after a year, a buyer came through. Evan Blank, the CEO of Under Armour, and a group of investors made a $6.5 billion offer to the NBA to bring a team to the city of Baltimore. The battle was just getting started, though. First, they only had about a half a year to prepare, while Seattle and Las Vegas had 4 years, and Pittsburgh had the last 2 seasons, meaning building a team would be a quick process and definitely a struggle. Secondly, in the more difficult challenge, the NBA Board of Governors. The Washington Wizards were outraged at having to share their market and led a charge to try to stop this plan from going into action. The day of the vote came, and with the support of 25 of 33 NBA owners, it narrowly succeeded, meaning Baltimore was getting an NBA team for the first time in 53 years. The battles weren't done there. Wizards filed lawsuits using their past as a team in Baltimore to pressure the league, meaning there was already some tension between us and Washington other than the local rivalry. But it didn't matter, as the team was already officially added. Blank and his firm's first big hire was me to oversee basketball operations as the team president. We were allowed by the state of Maryland to play our home games at CFG Bank Arena, which is where the Bullets used to play many, many years ago. But Blank told me he had plans to break ground on a stadium near the Under Armour HQ in Baltimore. Our staff building was tight. The deadlines we had to hit were very tight. We didn't have much time as the team was just recently added in the off season and we're getting ready to gear up to play basketball the immediate season after joining the league. We didn't have much time to vet these people and look over who was best for the job and had to do most of the stuff on the fly. All the staffing decisions led me to my first big hire, the first head coach of this team, and I had a name in mind, Jason Kidd, one of the biggest names out there, and he could definitely be what this team needs to bring stability. We spent weeks working on a deal. All the while, Pittsburgh was still yet to hire a coach and was in talks with him at the same time. Eventually, his agent stopped reaching out and responding to us, and the next morning, woke up and we saw the news that he had signed with Pittsburgh. It was a gut punch, and my philosophy for the hire was stability and looking for a former NBA coach who was proven and could just bring some stability and a calming voice in the locker room. I then chased Mike Budenholzer, another good option, but he just wasn't interested in the job. It was a really tough pill to swallow, despite us having the only head coach vacancy in the league. He turned us down, and that put us in a really rough situation. We kept scrambling for a coach before the expansion draft, but we couldn't bring one in. We were trying to find one to have his philosophy, but be what we build around, but we couldn't. So we were going to have to build this team, the framework of this team, for the first time. No head coach. This leads me into the expansion draft, where finally we've reached our selections. We had the first pick in the expansion draft, and it was a lot to weigh on us. We thought about picking young talent, we thought about picking old talent, and eventually we decided to go with the Baltimore native himself, Bub Carrington. We went with young talent, and we decided to bring him in from our crosstown rivals, Washington. Bub was a solid option, only 22, from Maryland, and we liked the upside on him, and we thought we were getting a good player with that first overall pick that maybe we could look to build around in the future. With our second pick from Chicago, with Isaac Okoro. Isaac Okoro is proven. He has been on playoff rosters in Cleveland, and we think he'll be a great wing to bring a presence into this team and into this locker room and can mold anywhere with any coach. Third pick of the draft was Keon Ellis from Portland. We liked Ellis. He played for Sacramento, or eventually being moved on to Cleveland. We thought he had high upside. He was still on the younger side. We felt like we can get some good years out of him as a guard for this team. With our fourth pick, we were contemplating, but we wanted a presence that is big inside. We looked around, we saw Naz Reid, Jalen Williams, and Miles Turner, and I was torn on the decision. Through consulting with my advisors for a long time, we decided to go out and bring in the big name of Miles Turner into the squad. Miles Turner, of course, a great defender, and we believe he could probably step up and be the leader for this team that we desperately need going into what could be a rough season. Our fifth pick was Ryan Kalkbrenner from Charlotte. Went with them. We wanted a younger center to maybe develop behind Miles Turner and learn from Miles Turner to eventually ascend and take over the role in the future. Our sixth pick was Rui Hachimura. Now, what Rui Hachimura brings to the table, he's on a good contract, and I think he's very undervalued in the league. We get some good stats from him this year, and he could be a solid player for a franchise in desperate need of stability. And that's the key for season one. It's going to be stability. With our seventh pick, we drafted Otega Owe. Owe, of course, brother of former Baltimore Raven and now Washington Commander Odafe Owe. The young player, we drafted him for the upside, bringing a young guard. We felt like he could develop into something really good as the future of the franchise. Our eighth pick in the draft from the New York Knicks, the championship DNA of Landry Shamet. He's very well rounded, and he keeps adding to our core of consistency that we're hoping to build here, the culture. And with our ninth pick, we selected Naquan Tomlin from Cleveland. Thought he was good and he could maybe develop in the future, so we took a chance on him. And with our final pick, we selected Kelly Oubre off of Philadelphia to be another wing to this team, an old mind with good experience. Following the draft, there was still one big question. Who was going to coach this roster? And we finally got on the phone with and signed the deal with a former Phoenix Suns Detroit Pistons coach, Monty Williams, to hopefully start the good first year of Baltimore basketball right. He'd be the first coach in the history of this franchise. Monty Williams, welcome to the team. Some discussions with Monty Williams post draft. We had a few more roster spots we needed to fill, so we ended up filling those. The first man we went with was Isaiah Livers, a former player of Monty Williams, former Detroit Piston. We went and picked him up out of free agency while he was available. The next player we went with was the old, experienced, and great defense of Gary Payton II. We brought him in to Baltimore to just see what he's got. Hopefully he can provide for the team. The third player we signed was Tamim Lipsey. He went undrafted, but his stats were so good I couldn't pass them up to bring in the undrafted free agent to Baltimore. And then the final player we signed, another Marylander, Julian Reese, the brother of Angel Reese, decided to bring him in to the team. And with that rounds out the inaugural squad for the Baltimore Crabs. And hopefully we don't embarrass ourselves out there. We didn't have a lot of time to build this team. It was a struggle to get this team to exist in the first place. And the hopes are just the season one goal of stability. Let's not be the worst team. Let's not embarrass ourselves. Let's look like an NBA team out there. That's the main goal for season one of this roster. Goals for season one are to win more than 20 games, beat Washington and Pittsburgh in our matchups, try to build a fan base and a culture, and compete with the Wizards in the market. With a final look at the roster, I think that is it for the creation of this team. His next episode will be the first ever game of the Baltimore Crabs in this franchise. If y'all enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next one.